Today, we'll debate is AM Capcom Cup better than 100 Grassroots locals? With Cameron, a eSports Maximalist, and Jordan, a community purist. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Alright, let's get hype. Yo, it's your boy. Cameron Big Stage Riley, the one and only hype conductor, former contender, now your resident ringmaster for the hypest fighting game showdowns on planet Earth. Listen, I've eaten more stage lights than most folks have had pocket change for an arcade cab. You want to talk FGC? Don't give me that back room of the laundromat energy. I'm here for roaring crowds, lights, smoke, confetti, and cash pots bigger than a Marvel comeback. Look, if we want the FGC to level up, stop treating it like your cousin's garage band jam. Let's go mainstream, baby. Build those stadiums, get those six-figure sponsors, and let's put our champions on cereal boxes with custom character alts. I'm here to take us from who's next on Setup 3 to next up on ESPN Primetime. Grassroots are great, but you can't plant potatoes and expect filet mignon, you know what I mean? Let's serve up a feast the whole world wants to sit down for.
Hey, what's up, folks? Jordan local legend Kim stepping up. If you've ever won a bracket in the back room of a pizza place or been body bagged by someone's little brother at a weekly, you probably already know me. I'm that person running the bracket with one hand, balancing a slice in the other, and giving pep talks between pools. Look, I love the FGC, but I don't need pyrotechnics just to get hype. Give me 6 setups, 20 people, and a roll of quarters. And watch the magic happen. Big money? Grand stages? Sure, that stuff's flashy. But your favorite champion learned their first combo in a corner next to a gumball machine, not under a spotlight. I'm all about real connections, where losing sends you straight to the friendly station for instant runbacks, and someone's grandma is commentating top 8 because nobody else wanted the mic. We build family here, not just fans. If I ever make it on a cereal box, please let it be the off-brand stuff so everyone can afford it.
Thank you, guys. Cameron and Jordan will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Listen, I respect what Jordan's saying. I got my start at locals too, dodging folding chairs and drinking dollar sodas. But here's the thing. If we want this community to survive and thrive, we gotta dream bigger. Look at EVO. It started in a SoCal arcade with a few dozen sweaty diehards, but now it's packing arenas in Vegas, drawing tens of thousands in person and hundreds of thousands online. That's not just a party, that's a movement. Think of the impact when someone like Sonic Fox wins on a main stage and the whole world's watching. Grassroots start the fire, but the big events throw on the gasoline. Suddenly, sponsors are lining up, devs can support big prize pools, and players get the recognition and paychecks they deserve. Street Fighter VI getting finals time at the Olympic-style eSports World Cup? That's access, that's legitimacy, and that's future-proofing the FGC. We went from pizza parlors to platforms where legends are born. Don't we want every new player, everywhere, to see that? The blockbuster events put the FGC on the map, and that's how we recruit the next generation of champions and make sure the rent gets paid.
Look, I get it. Cameron loves the lights and the big money, but you can't build a community on spectacle alone. Remember when EVO was canceled in 2020? Suddenly, everyone's big stage dreams took a back seat, and you know who kept the scene alive? Locals did. From New York's next-level battle circuit to Wednesday night fights on the West Coast, regular folks fired up weeklies online and offline, ran charity brackets, and made sure nobody's passion died out when the confetti stopped falling. Here's the thing. Without locals, there's no pipeline. Daigo didn't become the beast because of a TV camera. He played in smoky arcades, learning from everyday grinders. Big events are shiny, but they're built on the backs of hundreds of tiny communities where new talent grinds, rivalries spark, and real friendships form. Plus, blockbuster events chase numbers, sometimes at the cost of accessibility. Suddenly, entry fees go up, locals can't afford to travel, and brand new players feel left out because they're not top 8 material. Sure, headlines look great on a sponsorship deck, but if the grassroots are neglected, you just end up with empty arenas. The FGC is family first. Without that foundation, the hype is hollow.
You know what, Jordan? Big respect to the folks organizing the 12-man weeklies in Aunt Patty's basement, truly the backbone. But look, if we just cling to the idea that family happens in a sweaty corner next to the mop bucket, we're basically saying, forever small, forever broke. Sure, locals kept the lights on during the dark times, but you can't Venmo rent with fight money from handshake side bets and charity raffles for a copy of Street Fighter II on SNES. and about accessibility. Listen, you say the big events price folks out. But if we're being real, blockbuster events are what get the travel stipends flowing, what make those free entry side pools even possible. You want Daigo to keep showing up in jeans and a t-shirt, or you want the guy to have enough cash to buy a fresh stick without selling his soul to 3 sponsors and becoming the walking patch notes. Locals give you heart, sure, but it's the main stage that gives you a legacy. You can say the hype is hollow, but I say the echo of a crowd pop stays with a player for life. Would you rather win the Pizza Place Classic or become a legend with a trophy big enough to park your motorcycle on? Think big, fam.
Oh, so now I'm holding the FGC back because I don't want to moonwalk down a red carpet in a sponsored jersey just to play some sets? Look, Cameron, not everyone dreams of having confetti blasted in their face while they pray. Twitch chat doesn't roast their haircut on the big screen. I'd take a handshake from the homie who just bodied me at the pizza joint over a legacy handed out like a gift bag at a tech convention any day. And yeah, prize money is great. But you know what you can't buy? A community that actually cares if you show up or disappear for a month. You're talking about players becoming legends. Well, legends are forged in grind sessions where nobody's watching, where you're just another person waiting your turn on the setup, learning footsies from someone's uncle who swears he invented them. Besides, let's not act like big events never mess up. Remember when power went out at Evo? Or when brackets ran 6 hours late? At my local, if someone trips on a cord, we just laugh and use a flashlight. That's resilient, not small time. You call it thinking small, but I call it keeping it real. And besides, my arcade stick smells way better than your trophy, guaranteed.
All right, Jordan. Looks like we're battling for the last slice of existential pizza, and I promise I won't eat your shoelaces while we bicker. Respect. You nailed it. Nice guys alone don't always finish revolutions, and group projects are, frankly, where optimism goes to die. But look, just because history's heroes weren't passing around group hugs doesn't mean kindness wasn't the yeast in the bread. Rosa Parks, Gandhi, and even those shoelace-starved revolutionaries understood the gravity of decency. Otherwise, all we'd have is chaos, and possibly a shoe salad. Sharp elbows? Absolutely necessary. But you need open hands to build too. The world moves forward when courage rides shotgun while kindness steers. Sure, we need a little spice. Just don't turn your historical pizza into pure ghost pepper rage or no one's coming back for seconds. So here's the deal. Kindness isn't weakness, it's the essential foundation. Without it, all you have is noise, mess, and possibly someone gnawing through your existential loafers. And Jordan, next group project, you're not in charge of snacks.
All right, Cameron. Appreciate your commitment to baking decency into every historical loaf, but let's not glaze over the spicy bits with too much cinnamon. Sure, kindness is the yeast. Without it, society's pretty flat. But if we followed your recipe alone, we'd all be polite sourdough starters, just waiting to rise and never quite making a sandwich. Let's be real, Gandhi and Parks, they didn't just steer with kindness. They dropped anchor with stubbornness and sometimes laid down a little social salt. You said open hands build? True, but closed fists sometimes knock down the rotten walls first. Too much kindness and the world turns into one giant lukewarm festival where everyone's nice, but the Wi-Fi never works and nothing actually changes. So, yes, kindness is critical, like cheese on pizza. But without a bold crust of conviction and a tangy sauce of disruption, all you've got is bland. In sum, keep your hands open, elbows sharp, and don't let the bread get soggy with excessive niceness. And Cameron, next group project, it'll just bring espresso. You'll need the energy for all that optimism.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Cameron and Jordan.
Hi everyone, I am Morgan, resident debate enthusiast, pizza purist, no pineapple, sorry Jordan, and always on the lookout for that missing group project member. Awesome arguments from both sides. Cameron, I noticed you focused a lot on kindness and its big picture influence in history, but I am curious. What about situations where kindness might actually backfire or enable negative behavior, like with enablers in toxic workplaces or relationships? Do you think there's a limit to kindness, or a point where it becomes counterproductive? Would love to hear your take on how to balance kindness with setting boundaries or enforcing consequences.
Great question, Morgan. Clearly someone who survived a group project or two. You're right, kindness in overdrive can absolutely backfire, like when it turns into enabling or people-pleasing instead of healthy support. If you're always bringing cupcakes to the office, tyrant, you might just be fueling the sugar rush of dysfunction. So yes, kindness needs boundaries, otherwise you're not really helping anyone. You're just making it easier for bad behavior to keep rolling. Being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. It means knowing when to say, hey, that's not okay, or step away entirely. For real progress or self-respect, you need the courage to set limits. Think of it like chili flakes on pizza. A little brings out the flavor, but dump too many on and suddenly nobody's enjoying the meal. Bottom line, kindness should empower positive change, not cover up problems or keep us stuck in toxic cycles. Thanks for raising the point, Morgan. Next slice is on me. No pineapple promise.
Thanks, Cameron. Now, shifting gears over to Jordan. I've noticed your arguments highlight the value of boldness, disruption, and pushing back against the status quo, which is super important in history. But one thing I'd like to ask, how do you distinguish between necessary disruption and chaos for chaos's sake? In other words, where's the line between productive pushback and just stirring the pot or making things worse? How do you know when it's the right moment to act with sharp elbows versus just creating more problems?
Great question, Morgan. Clearly, you're the voice of reason in every group project, and probably the only one who actually reads the rubric. You're right. There's a fine line between productive disruption and just being the person who flips Monopoly boards for sport. Here's my take. Productive pushback has a purpose. It's aimed at fixing something real, addressing injustice, shaking up stale systems, or sparking overdue conversations. If the disruption opens doors for progress, inspires others to question, or exposes problems that need solving, it's hitting the mark. Think Rosa Parks or the Berlin Wall coming down. Big moves, but with clear goals and positive aftermath. On the other hand, chaos for chaos' sake is all noise, no melody. If you're just railing against everything without a vision or solution in mind, you're not a revolutionary. You're just an agent of confusion, and probably not getting invited to the pizza party. The key is intention. Sharp elbows are great when they're making room at the table, not flipping it just because you can. So in sum, the right moment for disruption is when the status quo truly stands in the way of progress, and when your actions come with a plan or hope for something better. Otherwise, you're just stirring the sauce till it burns.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
All right, Morgan. Thanks for keeping this debate sharper than Jordan's elbows at a pizza party. You know, looking back, I kind of regret not bringing up grandma-level guilt trips as a superpower for positive change. Seriously, no one can revolutionize your bad habits like a sweet old lady armed with passive-aggressive cookies. And speaking of questionable choices, Jordan, I'm still reeling from you trying to ban pineapple from pizza in the same breath you defended chaos. That might be the real historical crime here. Honestly, it'll take a dash of anarchy, but leave my dessert toppings out of it.
All right, time for some honesty. Morgan, thanks for keeping us on our toes. In retrospect, I definitely regret not bringing up that the real secret driver of history isn't kindness or disruption, but caffeine. Most revolutions probably kicked off because someone ran out of coffee beans and snapped. As for Cameron, you made some solid points, but your kindness is the yeast in the bread metaphor? Respectfully, if history was just about rising dough, I think we'd all be stuck waiting around with nothing but carbs and unrealized dreams. Sometimes you need the rolling pin, not just the yeast. And don't get me started on the whole no pineapple promise. History favors the bold, and so does pizza.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Cameron scores 1. Argumentation clarity and structure. 9 out of 10. Cameron consistently made clear, logically structured arguments, presenting main points with well-chosen historical examples. Responses to questions were succinct and on topic, with minimal digression and good control of the narrative flow throughout the debate. 2. Engagement and responsiveness. 8 out of 10. Cameron directly addressed both Jordan's counter-arguments and audience questions, showing careful listening and adaptability. The humor was well integrated, though occasionally jokes slightly softened rebuttals where more bite could have further pressed an advantage. 3. Use of evidence and relevance. 8 out of 10. Cameron referenced Martin Luther King Jr., Malala Yousafzai, and Gandhi, effectively grounding abstract concepts like kindness in real-world impact. There was room for deeper analysis or a broader range of supporting evidence, but historical examples were well selected and relevant to the thesis. Jordan scores 1. Argumentation clarity and structure. 8 out of 10. Jordan's points were often clever and engaging, with clear structure and a unique, memorable voice. Occasionally, arguments leaned heavily on humor or analogy, slightly distracting from depth or precision, but the logic remained sound. 2. Engagement and responsiveness. 9 out of 10. Jordan excelled at riffing with Cameron and the audience, spinning questions into expanded, focused responses while maintaining conversational energy. Humor sharpened arguments and rebuttals, strengthening engagement without undermining critical content. 3. Use of evidence and relevance. 7 out of 10. Jordan brought up the American Revolution and Rosa Parks, using them to show disruption's role in progress. While examples were relevant and fit the contrarian angle, there were fewer case studies and less detailed historical exploration compared to Cameron. More diverse evidence could have bolstered the case.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see ICE debate next? Keep questioning.